Wow. What a deal for all of the fans at home. Wow, incredible. All the teams. Do we have anyone who's actually here? Or am I just rambling? That's perfect. Okay. I don't think there's really any point in trying to like start things before there's anyone here, because I'm not convinced anyone's gonna watch a VOD. So we might as well wait until we got a couple people, and then we can get into things.
Can we get jokes, John? This can be a VOD special right here.
Good jokes. Okay. Good family-friendly jokes.
Yeah.
Teams.
Family-friendly.
I'm a little bit stumped. I didn't prepare jokes for this stream, I'll be honest.
Wow.
You got any, or are you just you're just gonna put me on the spot?
4 viewers. That's crazy.
I mean, I guess it's not a VOD special.
I did. Yeah, it is no longer a VOD special.
I mean, it's a 4-viewer special. You know what I mean?
4-viewer special
for the fans.
I don't have any good jokes lined up.
Well, okay, I guess that makes 2 of us.
All right. Well, should we just dispense with the robots?
Yeah, I mean, if we got no jokes, and we got viewers, so no VOD specials.
All right. Sounds like robot
right
time.
The robots. Yeah, I mean, I think that's what the kids are here for.
I think so.
Yeah. Before we actually do that, what are the odds somebody put a very important question in the chat that we just have to answer
already?
This instant? What if they did?
Who knows?
No?
Adam's shaking his head no.
Odds are 0%? That's fantastic news. All right, on to robot then. Dom, do you want to kick us off? Where do we start today? Where do we start?
Do you want to start with the CAD?
Well, I mean, we could start with before CAD.
Before CAD.
We didn't start with CAD.
We did not start with CAD today. Okay,
No?
so a little today recap. We came in and
we cut some spacers today.
We
Over
did,
at the Wilson
yeah.
Center. Shout out to Wilson.
We made ships immediately for a prototype. And you can see most of that prototype actually behind us right here on the ground.
It's strewn about at the moment.
Yep.
And that's pretty standard operating procedure. You're going to want to have all your parts around.
Yeah, it makes it really easy to find stuff.
Yeah. And it's important that it's on the floor, too. That way you can get lots of squats in because, when you're in the shop all day, you're not going to be getting a whole lot of that leg workout.
No, definitely not.
Not staying healthy. You want to make sure you're working those.
Yeah.
So that's good.
So basically what we did today was sort of change our concepts just a little bit to basically have...
Why don't we take a closer look at that?
Let's see.
Let's get some of these chairs out the way.
Yeah, that's probably a better idea. Oh boy. Cable. Hold up. We're caught.
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
Cable saved.
See, you would think they're wireless because we're so far away from the camera.
There's very long wires.
Very clearly there's a wire.
Yeah, I mean,
so this is the prototype that we've been developing throughout the day. It doesn't look like a whole lot. However, it's gone through several iterations, as you can see with the tape.
That's true.
And so we've been basically playing with the configuration of the front roller, the rear roller here. Yeah, we've gone through a whole...
roll of
3/4 of a roll of Gorilla Tape, probably.
A lot of gorillas. No gorillas die.
I don't know the gorilla tape.
The gorillas don't die. The gorillas just make the tape. It's not made of gorillas.
It's made by gorillas.
It's made by gorillas.
That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, it's made. Well, not necessarily.
Not necessarily for gorillas. I've never seen a gorilla use Gorilla Tape.
Well, I don't think the gorillas need the tape because they're already so strong.
That is true, actually.
We weak little baby human boys.
We
need the gorilla tape.
We attempt to harness a fraction of their power using.
A fraction of the
using the tape.
And I mean, as you can see, none of this has fallen apart since you've been here.
That's true.
Therefore, gorilla must be pretty strong.
Yeah.
Anyways.
So actually, one of the first things that we did is I want to swing it a little bit closer. You'll see this whole thing is covered in Gorilla Tape, and that's because it's actually a pretty low friction surface for this thing. If we had more time and if we had the ability to get actual materials, I'd probably go with
probably aluminum.
Aluminum would be okay. Also, like a high density polyethylene. Or low density, whichever one's the slippy one. Do you remember?
One of the polyethylenes.
Yeah,
one of the
either
densities.
HDPE or LDPE. One of them is pretty nice for low friction stuff.
Ask your neighborhood material scientist about that.
Yeah, if you can get a sheet of that. I don't know if they make sheets. I would imagine they do.
They probably got it.
Look on McMaster or something.
Either way,
not a sponsor.
We wanted low friction. Why did we want low friction, Dom?
We wanted low friction because we were finding that as the Cheerio or the Fruit Loop or the donut, whatever you want to call it, the note as First likes to call it.
No, it's not a note. Don't believe their lies.
As this comes in, and actually, Arnav, will you come hold it angled?
Oh, demonstration. Here it comes.
We're not gonna power it quite yet. We're gonna save that for a little bit later.
Oh yeah. That's a big reveal.
But big reveal. So as this comes in through here, it gets past the roller, but then it comes onto this. And it just kind of was getting stuck. It was getting bound up on here.
That's true.
And so adding this Gorilla Tape we found really helped it slide up in. That's a good point, actually. Yeah.
Minor breakthrough
That's
on
a
screen.
yeah. We're
Heard it here first.
we're developing theses. I don't
Well,
think they
yeah,
can hear
I
you,
mean,
which is
that's-
good. We'll reveal that
We
later.
knew and then forgot. You know what I
True.
mean? Like, it's forgotten knowledge.
Um,
Anywho, we'll also note, I don't remember exactly where we were last week. Or sorry, last
tomorrow,
night.
yesterday.
Last night. Wow. I don't remember where we were exactly with the design last night, so I don't know exactly what we told Stream. Right now, I think we told them that we were thinking about an arm.
Yes.
And now it's shifted a little bit.
A little
It's-
bit.
It's like an arm, but longer.
It is arm but longer. So we're actually going to have it's going to pivot in the middle of this sort of setup as the prim. It will not be this long. We're going to cut this down. But it's going to, so this is, you see these little black marks here. It's a little bit hard to see, but
do have, like,
this is the pivot point. And so basically
The
what,
drawing's way over there.
do we have
Those-
better drawings?
We have
We were going to save the CAD for later, but
CAD
is that
CAD's a late
a,
night
that's
report.
actually a pretty good drawing. Let's walk over there.
I drew that. Oh,
I love
thanks.
that drawing.
Nice. I actually drew it in preparation for the stream.
Oh, wow. Would
I
you
was-
look at that?
I was trying to be a
preparing for
good
the
man.
stream. What professionals we are.
You know, I do what I can. I'm not the best, but
Some would beg to differ, John.
I mean, I've never seen Kettering make a drawing. You know what I mean?
Hey, we can't
That's
we
all I
can't
can
dog Kettering on stream.
Whoa. I didn't say anything bad about that.
We're trying to get fun to come cover FAC.
Whoa. I don't even know if they're related anymore. I thought they separated. I thought they
I have
did
no
Cranberry
idea.
Alarm.
Well,
I don't know. Maybe they're strong.
I think
maybe
they're doing
not.
both.
Oh wow, everybody came.
Everybody came. So basically,
Everybody's here.
we were thinking of doing the arm, but now we're doing arm, but on both sides.
Yeah.
And so this is sort of the roller setup that you saw over there.
Yeah.
Or at least a more developed idea
it's
of
not,
it.
It's not very to scale, and I'm so sorry for
That's
that.
okay. It's not a CAD drawing. We'll get to that later.
Yeah.
But then it's going to pivot around here, and at this pivot point is going to be, or at a little bit past this pivot point, is going to be basically the kitbot shooter. So it's got the two wheels on the side,
Yep.
and it compresses the note. And yeah, John's going to give us a nice little quick drawing of it. But it compresses the note and uses both the velocity of the wheels and the springiness of the note when you bend it to shoot it out into the speaker. Kind
Kind of looks like a smiley face on the side.
Correct.
But then the smiley face goes really fast that way. Only on ours we won't have this like box down here. This line won't exist.
Yep.
We'll just have more arms.
Yep. And so in this configuration, we'll be able to intake, drive somewhere else, and then shoot without having to move the arm. Shoot into the speaker, I should say. And then in this configuration, what we'll do is instead of moving the note all the way to the end where the shooter is, and we'll drive over the amp, and we'll slowly roll it back out. And some of our testing, hopefully, we'll post a video of it when we do all of the.
Yeah.
But this should be enough to like slowly dribble into
the amp.
into the amp.
And we don't want to actually shoot that fast because, as many teams might already know, or
Yeah.
if you don't already know, the amp's like very, very shallow.
Yeah.
Easy to bounce out of there if you don't have like either the right angle or velocity
Yeah.
or what have you.
If you're going too fast, it's definitely just gonna boing right off.
Yeah, and then you're going to be all like, what the heck?
Yeah.
I just wasted 10 seconds. Now I lose a match.
True.
Yeah.
All right.
Tough.
Anything else you want to cover here?
I think that's most of what we got. We have a little to-do list over there, which is like maybe accurate to where we are in our life. We got LEDs on the top. That's important.
LEDs at the top.
I think the rollers is in reference to the rollers that are lightly pictured here.
I would imagine,
those
yeah.
are a work in progress. We've been going through different materials, seeing what works, what doesn't. So far, we found a lot of things that don't. That's
Yep.
exciting.
Oh no, we're
Why?
getting audio feedback.
Do not, if you're gonna watch the stream on your phone, please do not have the audio loud. Respectfully, I just don't want to have to hear myself. Thank you.
All right. Do we have any questions in the chat we want to address, or are we
Surely
chilling?
there's at least one silly question. There's air?
It's way less fun.
Wait, what's the issue?
Definitely my dad.
What's the issue?
I need to clip the mics on.
I'm not clipping my mic on.
Okay.
I'm
will.
sorry. I'm not sorry, actually.
All right.
I'm just not gonna do
All right. Let's go over and
Yep.
talk about the CAD.
it. Bad time?
CAD.
That's certain people's favorite time.
It's probably my favorite time.
You are certain people.
I am certain people.
I'm quite certain of that.
Man, I was having fun with the. Maybe I just needed to hold it sideways.
I don't really know. I didn't see the comment,
All right.
and
Let's not get
if I don't see the comment, it's a lot easier for me to choose to ignore it.
true.
You know?
So
So, like-
so true.
Here, I'll hold it.
There you go. All right.
Maybe I'll switch over. This one is a little unwieldy.
All right, let me change to the CAD and plug back in. All right, sorry we don't have like professional screen sharing.
Professional screen sharing? Hardly matter.
Good.
Thanks. We should be able to... right now it's...
Hello?
It was up here. You gotta believe me. It was up here. I saw it with my own eye.
There we
my
go.
goodness.
See, I'm
Look
a
at him go.
professional.
So what in the world am I... Okay. What am I looking at here, Dom?
So,
What the heck is going on?
It's a little bit of a mess. But basically, this kind of box with the ends on here, that is the robot with bumpers, is the idea.
There is one important note, is that those bumpers are technically too low because we intend to raise our bumpers 2.5 inches.
That's true.
Off the ground. That way we can just drive right over those silly little notes and pick them up from the middle of our robot.
Yep. Oh, dang it.
Oh, that was an interesting way to rotate.
Sorry.
That's all right.
So basically what we were trying to do is get a configuration of this, which is this longer part is the roller mechanism, where we're going to be
24
intaking,
inches here.
Yes, which is going to be intaking and spitting into the amp. And we wanted to have that be less than an inch from the amp, which is what this dimension is right here.
Incredible.
And we also wanted to touch the ground. And so the goal for this thing was we chose a pivot point based on this circle and this point down here that lets us rotate up to the amp. So if I do, I think it was like negative 25 degrees. Oh, that was too much. Sorry,
well, that was close.
Let me do 20.
20?
That's
maybe
closer.
like 18 is a winner?
Maybe.
18 could be a winner.
Close enough.
That's pretty close.
So as this rotates, we'll be able to sort of slowly dribble into the amp like this as the...
And then this is our nearly 4, because of course the amp cannot be an even,
Yeah, no.
It's like
the
what,
dimensions,
3 and 7/8?
3 and 7/8 of an inch.
Good number.
Yes,
3 and 7/8
very
of an
cool.
inch. Also doesn't split into centimeters nicely, right?
Correct.
Great.
Well, no, it does. It's like 40. No.
No, definitely not 40. It'd be like...
No, I was thinking of a different one.
Like 9, maybe? But
Something like that.
It's definitely more than 9.
Yeah.
And less than 10.
But if we go back to the other one, we can see that the shooter end, this side,
Yes, sir.
it still goes into... that's 15 inches from the pivot is like the end of the shooter was what we're...
Yep.
Yeah.
And so these two blue lines here, these are the heights of the speaker.
Yes.
Right? Because the speaker isn't actually, it's not flat, that
Correct.
like kind of undergoal that you have to shoot for, almost like you're going underneath a basketball hoop, or I guess in this case, a basketball rectangle, because it's a massive rectangle. It doesn't, the analogy falls apart, but whatever. Either way, different heights. So it's a little bit easier to be further away. Like you have a little bit more of an opening there if you aren't directly underneath it.
Yep.
How far away are we planning to shoot from right now?
And importantly, we are bumped up against the what do they call it? The subwoofer, I think, is what they call it.
It's the field element that is directly beneath the speaker. It forms like a little pyramid shape subwoofer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
subwoofer.
great. Thank you, Adam. Shout out to Adam. Currently working the camera right now. And so we want to choose the subwoofer because it's a constant space one that we can always line ourselves up to get really consistent. Important to note, subwoofer is not a protected zone, so opposing alliance, they can play defense, they can ram into you, they can hit you, they can try and pin you as much as they want there. And if you're on tank drive, let's say they just park behind you, you might just get stuck there for about 4 seconds until they decide to let you go so they don't get fouled. So that's something to consider. You are not going to be safe unless you're scoring from the podium, which is considerably further away. That's going to be, so relatively speaking here, let me point. This is our subwoofer, and right above it, you can't really see from this
Let's see if I can find a better
promise.
image.
That one, this one works.
This is fine.
Yeah, it's good. So subwoofer here. Okay.
Sorry, I'm just trying to make it bigger for people to see.
It's fine. Subwoofer here, and then we're going to be scoring from directly in front of it. So if you imagine where my finger is there, and then the podium is all the way over here by the front corner of this triangle. That's where you're protected, which is a much more considerable distance. So the angle that you have to shoot from is much more severe. Like you have a much smaller target because you're so much further away. But you're protected there, so you can't hit you without getting fouls.
In theory, we might be able to score from the podium. We just aren't designing to that.
Yeah, we haven't tested to see exactly how far and fast we can shoot the notes. So we don't know if we actually have the power to get that distance, especially with like the height that you have to hit, because I believe what we have to clear is 6'6". So that's pretty considerable. Almost playing ring toss on like full humans at that point. I hadn't considered that actually. Okay, a robot might be good at that. Interesting. Yeah, and so that's where we're at with that. Yeah. We haven't done a lot of work towards climbing. Yesterday we mentioned that we're probably just going to use a winch and do a really kind of brute force solution where we have a couple hooks on the under belly of the arm system, and we'll just drive up to the chain, kind of clamp onto it like an alligator, and use the winch to pull ourselves up off the ground. And we have no plans to score in the trap at this time. And we don't plan on developing any because time and money and resources. So,
true.
Honestly, trap's a trap. Akbar said it first.
Alrighty, should we? What
do we want to do next? We want to talk about where you're at, Adam, with the electronics.
Oh, we could.
Yeah, we can do that. Absolutely, absolutely. I can steal a phone. Sorry, everybody, for manhandling. Okay.
All right. I don't want the cables to get snagged. All right. Moving on over.
And we are on a little journey, team.
Do you want a phone from me?
Where do you want to be, Adam? Oh. So sorry.
Oh.
Adam, you need to take this. This is for you. Here you go.
Oh. Guys, get the microphone working.
Cords, please.
Sorry, John. John's yelling at us.
They probably heard me. I'm loud.
You are rather loud. All right. Good enough.
All right then. So this here is going to be your basic FRC control system. We have everything from battery, breaker, PD board, what else? Roborio, radio, voltage controller, motor controllers, and even one whole motor right here.
A whole motor.
Just for demonstration purposes right now. It's not actually hooked up to a robot, which is concerning, but...
What is it? Hour 32? That's fine.
Something like that.
We got time.
We got plenty of time. We have plenty of time.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, C-Bot says
hi.
Hi. Colin.
Yeah, Colin.
Incredible.
Colin.
Anyway.
Do you want to talk about anything else right now with electronics? Like, as a comment, I understand that you haven't programmed an FRC robot before.
No, I've been figuring all that out for myself for this first time. I've done a lot of the building the electrical boards and wiring the robots in high school when I was at FRC, but not the programming side of things. So it's been interesting learning that. I was thinking just for now, going over the basics for anyone who's learning for the first time. What do all these pieces do? What does it look like from the software side? So I guess we could start from the obvious thing. The battery provides the power. Using magic of chemistry and stuff like that.
I think that's true. I'm taking a chemistry class.
Yeah, it's a really big, strong connector here. It's actually kind of difficult to pull apart. Anyway, then this is the main breaker. Sort of has two things. One, it sort of switches on and off the robot. When you want it to be switched on, you squeeze this together, turn it on, and you see all the lights turn on. You can also turn it off by squishing this button right here. The second thing it does is a safety feature. If the robot is drawing way too much power from the battery, either because the electronics broke for some reason and it's getting short-circuited, instead of causing electrical fire, this will probably pop by itself. This means your robot will stop and has to be manually restarted, but you should probably check for an electrical fault before you do that.
We are reading chat as soon as I see it. Did we miss something? Is anyone else monitoring chat? Okay, let me know if I missed things. Apparently,
I think Collins thought we didn't say hi.
We did say hi. It's possible that he didn't hear me say hi. I didn't have a mic on at the time.
All right, yes.
Anyways, so we're at the main breaker.
Yes, main breaker. Yes, one of these. And the way electronics work, you only need it at one end. The other end does not need one. It breaks the circuit. Mm-hmm. Electricity has to go out, but it also has to come back to the battery in order to work. It's why they call it a circuit, because it's like a circle.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah. Next thing is a power distribution board, because right now you only have like a single pair of cables coming in. And if you wanted to power a single motor, that might work. Although chances are you probably want more than one motor on your robot, which is why this thing exists. You have to have one anyway. That's the rules.
Mm-hmm.
One thing it does is the red cable connects to all these red outputs, not directly, and then the black cable connects to all these black ones. So all these things that need to be wired and get power are all connected.
Mm-hmm.
However, they're not connected quite directly. First, they have to go through these things, which can be pulled out. I'm trying to do it one-handed by not sitting on the mic. I should probably just set down the mic.
I can hold it for you. Uh-oh. So he's currently pulling out a fuse.
Well, not quite a fuse, because a fuse does a similar role. It prevents you from drawing way too much current and causing electrical fire or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But the difference is that if these things trip, they will automatically reset. And that's a good thing, because these actually can trip quite often. If you, let's say you're running a climber and your robot's really heavy, it may end up tripping. I've had that happen a few times. And you don't want it to have to, your robot to completely stop working. It will shut off for a second, and then a few seconds later, it'll turn back on. Maybe you just were going too fast driving the robot and drawing too much power from those motors. Either way, these are for individual circuits. So for each individual motor, we'll have one of these. So if just one motor trips, the rest of them don't. Your entire robot doesn't shut off. That's the main breaker's job. That's sort of like the emergency backup in case these things still aren't protecting you. So these ones, automatically reset. This one does not. This has to be manually reset. It's sort of like the very base safety layer. These things go in here. Make sure you're using the correctly sized one. These are 40 amps for the motors that we're using. However, depending on what you're powering, it may be more correct to use a 20 amp. If you use something that's too big, you can risk causing electrical fire by not having the correct level of protection. So if your circuit's blowing at 20 and you're supposed to use 20, that is not an indication you should go up to a higher number. That's an indication you should figure out what the issue is and fix it some other way. What else we got here? The power then goes out. It does not go to the motors directly, because if they were, the motor would just be spinning at full speed, and as soon as you turn it on, and just keep going and going and going and never stop. So in between, we have these things, which are the motor controllers. Their job is to regulate the power. So if you only want to go forward slowly, they'll give it a little bit of power. If you want to go backwards, they'll put the power in through the opposite way through the cables, which makes the motor spin backwards. They can make it go slow, fast, anything in between. Yes. So full voltage is coming through here, but limited voltage will come through here and actually connect to the battery itself. However, you actually have to have something to give them those commands, and where the command comes from is from this RoboRio right here. RoboRio is the main computer on your robot. It holds all the code that you wrote to make it go. And there are many ways to communicate between the RoboRio and the motor controllers. When I say many, I actually only am aware of two. Maybe there's more.
It's more than one.
Yeah. Anyway, the one we haven't been using is called CAN. It's this yellow-green cable right here. Notice there's only one cable pair coming out of the RoboRio. However, it's able to communicate to all of them. That's because they sort of daisy chain off of each other. This one goes into this one goes into this one, and this one, and this one.
And so on and so forth.
And then 5, and then 6, and then 7, and then 8. Matter of fact, the order is important because that's how you program it. And you say, hey, I want motor 1 to be spinning. Well, that's the first one that comes off out of the RoboRio. The second one happens to be this. The tape is just for our reference. The computer doesn't know what the tape says, allegedly.
Allegedly. Can't trust the AI
Yeah.
these days. Gotcha. Heard.
The alternative is using PWM cables, which are they each come in 3 pairs. Notice there's 3 pins. PWM stands for pulse wavering modulation, I think. Pulse width modulation, something like that. Anyway, they are like pairs of 3 cables that come in here, and each one plugs directly into its own motor, so they're not daisy chained like CAN. They both work depending on what kind of motor control you're using. One will use one will use the other. The programming is pretty much the same. You use slightly different classes for stuff, but yeah, that's a connection there.
Great.
What else do we have?
Well, we still have the radio.
Radio, of course. The radio, which, the computer, it can do stuff, but if you want to be able to send it commands remotely, you need some sort of connection to the controller, like if you're using Xbox controller or anything like that. And unless you're running a cable directly from your computer, the one you're actually using to control the robot, it is possible. You definitely can do that if I actually plug it directly in.
Especially for testing purposes, it can be
It's very useful because getting the radio to connect is a bit finicky. It can take a while to start up. Sometimes just plugging directly into your computer is easier. But when you're actually on the field or you're testing out on the full robot system, radio is probably better. In this case, radio connects to the radio over Ethernet, which is this sort of cable with this big old connector with these pins right here, and then plugs into the radio right here. Depending on how you have your radio, you have your control system. I believe this year they're mostly recommending, or maybe even requiring, that you use power over Ethernet. So there's a little module that will sort of be halfway down this cable, like a connector. I don't have one to demonstrate, where you have like two cables, and it will actually inject power into this cable to power the radio, and that way you only need this one thing. So data and power can travel over this one cable. Otherwise, if you don't have something like that, like we don't, we have a separate cable that comes out of this voltage regulation module, and it provides power to the radio like this through the main power port.
All right.
The voltage regulation module is just there to make sure that the radio and other equipment that needs a very specific voltage stream gets exactly what it is expecting, because the stuff that comes out of the battery, it can vary depending on how charged it is or how much power you're drawing from the big motors. Things like that.
Gotcha. And then there's only one thing left, I believe.
Yeah, and that's the robot status light. It tells you if the power's on and if the robot's enabled. So right now, if I turn the power on, it'll turn on. Solid means that it's on and could potentially do something dangerous. So beware.
Yep, that's what they tell you.
And if it's flashing, that means that the robot's actually enabled, which tells you that it's much more likely to be doing something dangerous. So be very careful.
Indeed. Always be careful around your robots, especially the ones that can read the stickers.
Oh, yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. And there's a lot more stuff. This is this is probably a very minimal.
Yeah, very minimalist.
Honestly, I don't think there's anything here that's really optional on a robot.
What did you say?
I said no, I don't believe there is.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Comments
So
from the peanut gallery.
but there's a lot more stuff. Like if you have a pneumatic control system for your robot, there will be more stuff. If you have, for example, cameras that will connect to the Roborio or other stuff, all kinds of different peripherals you can include.
A lot of different options to customize. This is more of a baseline.
Yes, this is the very, very basics to get it up and running.
Every robot's going to need some motors.
So in theory, this should be enough to actually, plus the computer to actually control it and the Xbox controller, to actually run this motor right here. I have been experiencing a little bit of difficulty recently where it's just emergency stopping straight away as soon as I try to turn it on, which is probably a good thing for safety purposes, but is annoying from actually wanting to demonstrate purposes. But I'll trust that it's doing the safe thing. That's probably for the best. We can try right now if we'd like.
Sure, why not?
We could also, before we do it, we could also look sort of what it looks like from the software side. Sure. I should also say, all this information.
Software could be pretty dense, so we probably won't want to spend an extraordinarily long amount of time talking about it.
I have a very simple demo that just spins the single motor.
Gotcha.
One thing I should also mention is that all this information that I'm talking about right here can also be found this website, docs.wpilib.org. WPILib is the library that you'll use the software library used to program the robot. And yeah, this website has basically everything you'd need, including the hardware stuff, like all this electrical stuff, how to do it. This video stream is providing just a basic overview so you have an idea of what you're getting into, and then that sort of breaks it down in a much more step-by-step process. I'd highly recommend you consult that for all purposes, because it contains all the official stuff.
Boom. Docs.wpilib.org.
All right then. So.
Oh, I want to look at the password.
I'm probably going to erase this. So yes, so for programming the robot, you can use any operating system. I mean, like Mac OS, Linux, or Windows for the purposes of programming it. You can even deploy it to the robot from any of those platforms. However, to actually drive it or do a bunch of other stuff, you will need Windows, which is why I have Windows on this computer here, despite the fact...
that is a MacBook.
Oh, yes. Anyway, so WPI when you install it, by going to that website, following the instructions, by default, it will come with a copy of VS Code with special extensions installed and preferences to make it really easy to build and deploy your code. You can even create an example project with that'll just have like a basic drivetrain, all the code written out for you. And if we look over here, I have something that's actually even much simpler than what we had that right there. This just controls a single motor. Basically what it says is this is written in Java. I'd say I'd probably recommend that if you don't know what to choose. It's a language that's relatively simple to learn. I would say on the course of all possible programming languages, it's also, if you make a mistake, it's very easy that it makes it obvious and makes it easy for you to fix it, rather than like some other languages which will hide the fact you made an error and just cause tiny problems forever and ever. Anyway, so we got two things here. We got the motor, which is this motor controller called a WPI Victor SPX, and the Xbox controller. Those are really the only two components we have for this robot right here. And basically what we're saying is, for every 20 milliseconds that this robot is enabled, we're going to get whatever what this control stick is, and take that value and set it to be the speed of the motor. So this right here gets the value and then just sets the motor to that. In order to now you've actually written the code, you'll probably write something much more complicated than this for an entire robot. But there's a button you can click up here if you want to show.
Button.
It looks like the WPI logo. I mean, there's a bunch of ways to do this, but this is one way. And there'll be a bunch of options. You might have to search for it if it's not appearing in your recently used. Build robot code will just build it on your computer. Deploy robot code will actually send it to the robot. So in order to do that, you'll need a connection that can either be wireless through the radio, or if you can plug Ethernet directly into your computer, or you could use USB. So I'm going to use USB right here. I'm just going to grab.
To get that to the Robo Rio.
Yes. So from your personal computer to the robot's computer, which is the Robo Rio.
Gotcha. Did you just deploy that to the robot?
I did not just deploy that. I connected it with the cable.
Sorry, I thought you clicked the button.
So yes. So you have to have it plugged in either wirelessly or through a cable. One thing you'll see on the driver station is once it's connected, you'll see these lights turn green, the comms light indicator, which means you're connected. So you don't have to have this driver station open for this. It just provides a good interface. And then click deploy. It will then do some stuff down here. It's now, compiling the code, building it, and then sending it to the Robo Rio so it could be run. And now the code that has been written exists on the Robo Rio.
Great.
So we could go over here. Everything's ready. We got the communications to the robot. We got the robot code is on the Robo Rio just fine. And the joysticks, which is this, also working just fine. So theoretically, if I press enable, it should turn it on. I'm going to put the motor in a good position so it doesn't hit anything or hurt anyone. And let's see if it works this time. So it appears that when I enabled it, it detected some sort of issue. I haven't had quite enough time to debug exactly what's going on here. But when it experienced that issue, it did an emergency stop for safety purposes. So I'll not be able to demonstrate it right now. I will say earlier today, it was working. All of a sudden, it's not. I have no idea why. But that's the nature of computers. They don't always do what you want them to do.
That sounds about right. Well, either way, thank you so much. Is there anything else that you wanted to share right now, or should we?
I think that's about it for just a basic intro to FRC control systems. I will once again say, there's the website. That gives you, that's a step-by-step guide with all the information you might ever need for programming an FRC robot, especially getting started. It shows you all the download links to the libraries and the tools and the driver station and guides on how to put together all this stuff correctly, because this was just an overview. It's not a comprehensive guide. So yeah.
Just a starting point.
Is there anything more we have for the stream tonight?
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Well, who should I hand it off to?
I think we're going to go over and probably talk to Bridget, because Bridget is walking towards us.
Yeah, you've been nominated.
Which does in fact mean that she wanted to be on stream for one reason or another. We can do prototype because that was next. So I guess we're gonna have Bridget.
Prototype next.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Let's do it. Let's air out some issues. Here, take the cam. Hey, Bridget, what are you doing?
Oh, I'm talking.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You walk towards us. It's your
Great.
problem now.
All right. Don't trip.
I would never trip. I might ruin the cord.
Okay. So.
All right.
As of right now, this is the current state of our prototype.
Okay. I don't have a very wide picture. I just want you to know that. So you got getting close.
Great. Okay.
Tell me about it. What's happening here? Also, you might want to get like a little bit. I'm cutting off your forehead right now if I want to see the whole prototype.
Great. I'm just gonna. Yep. Is this good? Fine.
I mean,
I don't really care if I'm fully in frame or not.
It's fine.
Great.
I'll take one step back.
Okay.
Great. Now tell me, what's going on here?
So as of right now, we've been kind of playing with different variables within this prototype. We've been changing the angle a little bit, coming from different approaches, making sure that it's not too steep, but not too flat, I guess. We've also been playing with our rollers a little bit. But previously, we had more spacers on the first roller here, so there was more white PVC. And then on this, we also had wheels and the white PVC. We've kind of played around with that a little bit. We can talk more about that in a little bit, probably with the issues that we're going to work through. But so along with changing the angle that we've been working on, which right now I believe it's at approximately 50 degrees.
Last number was around 50, 52.
Yep, somewhere around there.
So pretty steep.
Yeah, pretty steep angle. We've also been playing with the distance of the roller off of the ground and the plexiglass off of the ground.
Yep.
So there's quite a few different variables, as well as the plexiglass, how forward it is relative to the first roller. So there's quite a few variables that we've kind of been messing around with, trying to figure out the best adaptation of our prototype at this point. But last time we had tested it, it worked pretty well, so I guess we'll give it a shot here.
Can't wait for it to fail 4 times in a row on stream. That sounds pretty exciting. We have 10 viewers right now. All right. Not 2. Maybe half of them are you guys, but I don't know. Oh.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Look at that. Fruit Loop eaten. Breakfast acquired.
Breakfast
That's incredible.
acquired.
That's fantastic news. So, just to clarify, I just want everyone to know what just happened here. That is one person sitting in a chair, a second person pushing the chair, the person in the chair holds the prototype, while a third person is using a drill to turn our intake wheels. Incredible. You know?
Yep.
Union of man and machine.
So this is yes.
This is much. Okay, I don't think the real robot's going to have human arms either. Oh goodness. What are we trying to demonstrate right here, guys? I don't remember talking about this. We're trying to demonstrate us scoring the amp.
Yeah, we didn't.
No
this
one
was
told me about this.
this.
You guys are just doing stuff, which I'm all for. I love doing stuff, but you know, I'm a little concerned for everyone's safety. I've got the visual. Sponsored by Home Depot. Oh yeah, yep. That was good. I like the assist it with the hand.
It's gonna be way more.
I love that. It's also not even the right way around.
And also, our amp is not the right height off of the ground. This is 3 inches taller than it needs to be.
I think it's more than 3 inches because the table is 3 inches taller than the amp.
Oh yeah, my bad. We're like a
like
decent bit, yeah. Probably a good amount above where we need to be.
What will be used to control this? Arduino or something else? You want to answer that one, Adam? We just had a question in the chat. What's going to be used to control this? Arduino or something else?
The thing that's controlling this is the RoboRio.
Yeah.
That's the main computer. It's what you're required to use for FRC competitions.
That's correct. Yep. Thank you, Adam. Great question. Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Yeah, motor controller.
Well, it's a team effort, Wouldn't want to leave anybody out. Motor controller, RoboRio, PDP,
I think
battery.
Yeah,
he's important.
Battery's controlling this entire thing.
Well,
so I mean,
battery's supplying the necessary resources for things to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like the trust fund of the electrical world.
Okay. Yep. No, that makes sense.
You need that.
Makes
you need
sense.
that.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, Adam, you were thanked.
You're so very welcome.
Oh, yeah, you can say okay.
We realize that this flexing down.
What do you?
Okay.
Say it with your chest. Say it with your chest. What's going
all right.
on? What did we mess up?
One of the issues that we were encountering a little bit as we were testing this is that this plexiglass was flexing in the middle, kind of a fairly substantial amount, especially when it wasn't just resting on the ground, which was causing substantial variation in how we were able to pick up the note. We weren't able to get a lot of contact with the note, with the bow in the plexiglass. So when it's supported underneath, it helped substantially. It caused a lot less variation. So just make sure that going forward, this is something that we're going to have to focus on, is making sure that everything is a little bit less flexible, just to make sure that we have a little bit more structural integrity and consistency with the mechanisms. So.
Could someone toss me the Gorilla Tape for a second?
I think we cleanse that. Move that down.
To answer your question, Colin, no, not duct tape. This is Gorilla Tape. We are not sponsored, but I wish we were. We have used so much Gorilla Tape. You are completely right. It reduces friction on the plexiglass. It allows our Fruit Loops to move nice and smooth most of the time. And it is fantastic. A lot of gorillas worked on this tape to make it. We really appreciate them and their hard work. None of them were harmed, of course. They just make the tape. They are not made, or the tape is not made of gorillas. Hope that answers your question.
Put it back on your
Where were we before I so rudely interrupted about gorillas? We were looking at real-time prototyping. Okay. Well, if you guys are prototyping, I'd prefer not to interrupt this process because it's more important than goofing around on stream, and we can talk about issues that we've ran into and where we're moving forward. Or we can just watch this happen. Well, yeah, I mean that. Well, okay, stream couldn't quite see that, but it did technically work.
Yes.
It did. Oh, you're doing this again.
Yeah.
What did you change?
18 degrees of
We removed some.
What did you remove?
We changed the spacing between them.
That's fine. That's fine.
You changed this. Oh, I didn't even notice that. That's crazy. What cardboard? We would never use cardboard.
There's cardboard right in front of us.
No, but that's different.
That's alright.
John, cardboard is a very valuable resource for prototyping.
That's true.
Very easily usable. Very.
Yeah, that's good. Sometimes it just needs a little bit of help. Okay. Now this is the robot backing up a little bit. Yeah, okay. So as you can see, stream, this one, it needs a little bit of work.
Right there.
So
I think it could potentially work with like stapler.
it's
And like we
I think if we're not using tape to hold the robot together, it might look better.
Yeah. All right.
okay. So now we're gonna blame the gorillas, huh? That's not very kind.
No, sorry. We're blaming the tape that they made, not the gorilla.
Well, I mean, they put their heart and soul into that tape. They literally put their heart and soul
They
into
put
that
their
tape.
soul into it.
I literally
We're
just.
blaming our inability to do mechanical trade-offs correctly.
We're
Okay.
blaming our ability to understand the sacrifice the gorillas made.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Glad you guys were able to dig yourselves out of that hole.
Using the true potential of the tape.
Yeah. I think that's true. I agree with that. Gorillas didn't do nothing wrong. Anyways, why don't we go talk about some other shortcomings that we've
Awesome.
Ran into head first. How did that even happen?
I have no idea.
Okay. Anyways,
Front boards?
Yeah, front board sounds like a good.
Can we raise up?
Yeah, sure.
Great.
Sure. Take a little trip to the front of the room. Dude, how you doing today?
I'm pretty good. I'm getting a little tired.
Well, no, we did start pretty today, and it is about 7 p.m. But that's okay. What is 12 hours really? That's a state of mind.
Seriously.
All right. Anything on this board?
Just some scribbles.
Not much. We got a little bit of scribbles. Oh, prime real estate. Oh, do you want to hold the camera?
Yes, certainly.
Okay. You can hold the camera. Thank you, Adam.
Wonderful.
God, I kind of lost my microphone. Do you like that?
I do.
Oh, shit.
I do like this.
Sugar. Well, all right. I'll just hold it. It's
All
fine.
right.
Anyways, does this work? Oh, they have the good markers up here. That's fantastic. So, where are we at? If we make a list of things we can do in this game, right?
Yep.
We got speakers.
Yep.
That's the big, tall goal. We have the amp. All right. We have climbing. We have human players being fantastic at ring toss. Make sure your team has someone practicing ring toss, by the way. It's going to be important. I'm going to write that as ring toss.
There is definitely a technique. We were practicing that yesterday.
Yeah, no, there's real technique. Honestly, get some practice in. It's going to be worth it. You're going to get ranking points at your events. Maybe. We'll see. We have the trap, which we still assert is not real for our purposes because we don't have enough time to figure that one out, I'll be honest. It's actually just a little bit too tricky. With 3 days, it's pretty unfeasible. We'd end up sacrificing way too much in other areas. So I'm just going to cross that off preemptively.
Yep.
Also going to cross off ring toss because we're building robots, not training people to throw rings, although it is kind of funny to mention. What else can we do? We can drive around. That's important.
Yeah, that is important.
Very important. I'm going to put that over here. It doesn't score points. So like these things score points, right? Put a little line here. And these are like just general important stuff.
Yep.
So drive.
General robot functionality.
Robot.
Yep.
Pick up Cheerios. That's important.
Yeah, picking up.
Pick
Yep.
up. Fruit Loops if you prefer. Donuts, whatever your preferred.
Your
Title.
donut-shaped cereal of choice.
Yeah, your item. Yeah. We can also have them handed to us by our lovely human players at the source, I think it's called.
Yes,
I believe
the
it's called
source.
Cheerios from source. Still Cheerios. What else can we do in this game? I think that's most of them. Driving is important.
I mean,
picking things up is important.
unless you want to explicitly say placing. I know that this is scoring points.
Yeah, I
Just
suppose
placing.
I suppose like placing or shooting.
Yep.
That kind of ties into the other ones. Okay. Now that we have this, right, and it's kind of like, what do you do? Whatever. Where are we? And where are we going?
Do you want to narrow that question down maybe a little?
Why don't we start at the top?
Okay.
Where are we with the speaker? What do you think?
With the speaker. So we kind of, as we were going through our geometry, we were kind of basing it off of the speaker originally in our little CAD sketch.
And why is
as
that?
discussed. It's important with the way that the speaker is angled. It's kind of important just to make sure that, and the subwoofer. That's what the thing underneath is.
Yeah. So the subwoofer, for those who don't know, is the name of the field element directly below the speaker, which is it forms like a little pyramid-shaped deal, and you can drive right up to it, but it's not a protected zone. So.
Yeah. So we wanted to make sure that we were going to be able to shoot into the speaker from a distance, including the subwoofer, because obviously you can't be right up against the wall underneath the speaker because of the subwoofer.
I believe our intent was to basically ram right up into the subwoofer without hurting it.
Yep.
In case Dean Kim is watching. No, we wouldn't hurt the subwoofer. We love the subwoofer. But that way we're just very consistent. We can line it up every time. We don't have to worry about driver error because we're in the same spot every time. The machine does the same thing every time. Don't have to worry about it. Easy.
Yep, so we were messing around with our angles because that was our original intent. We were messing around with our angles to try to figure out if we were going to be able to do that with the geometry of our arm mechanism in its current state. So we were trying to see if, how close we could actually get to the subwoofer consistently to be able to make sure that our angles were working properly and we'd be able to deliver the note into the speaker. And kind of messing around with our angles, making sure that our arm mechanism, with the dimensions that it is at, which I believe is 24 inches on one side of the pivot and 15 on the other, so it's not quite centered.
No, not perfectly.
We want to make sure that we're going to be able to be in frame perimeter at least during the start of the match.
That's actually something we should probably touch on
Yes.
now and in the future. Frame perimeter rules have changed pretty considerably. They're a little bit different from previous years. In the past, it's very, very common that you are allowed to extend beyond your starting frame perimeter in the Y direction, like vertically, right? This year, you have to start below 40 inches.
48.
48.
So it's
it
just
is
4
4 feet.
foot.
4 feet.
Yep.
You have to start below 4 feet, and you have to stay below 4 feet for the entire game.
That includes during endgame.
Yes, the entire. Yeah, no excuses. If you go over 4 feet for any reason, that's penalties.
Also, to touch on this, because I know a couple teams have discussed this, you cannot place on the trap without being on the chain.
Oh, is that an explicit rule?
It's not an explicit rule, but the bottom of the trap is above 48 inches.
Oh, yeah. So, and because of the geometry of the trap and the fact that there is a cover on it, you wouldn't be able to.
Yeah, you have to actually like push it.
Yeah.
Seemingly.
Technically, if we're living in Fairyland, if someone else was on the chain and opened up the trap, you would be able to shoot a note into it while they
In
had to
theory,
open.
I believe.
But that is complete fairy tale nonsense. That's like the likelihood of that happening is probably less than all of us winning the lottery on the same day.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'd believe the lottery more than I believe that.
And I believe that the trap's like depth is about the same as the amp.
Yeah,
but
so
I might be
it's
wrong
not a
about that.
lot of space.
Right.
And not to mention, if the trap closes before the note gets all the way in, it will probably just get stuck, and you won't get points.
Correct.
Yeah.
So.
Which is why trap is trap. It is what it is.
Yeah. So yeah, we were messing around with our geometry for our arm mechanism for the speaker. Once we verified that we were going to be able to consistently keep the same general angle, we actually determined that we were able to keep or be able to make it into the speaker with a fairly wide range of angle.
Yeah.
I guess. I think it was any
Range.
some terms like that.
I like that term.
Yeah. So I believe it was around 42 degrees to like 56 degree. And we would be able to...
Okay, so that's like 14 degrees of wiggle
Yeah.
range.
Depending on our placement, not running a subwoofer, but somewhere in that range we were going to be able to get it into the speaker.
But that's something we can
assuming that our
definitely
motors
calibrate.
are going to be able to...
And we're planning to use a Neo, and
Yeah.
Neos come with encoders, which means that you
Yep.
can program in exact positions that you want those
Yeah.
motors to stop.
Which will be incredibly helpful.
Incredibly helpful. So in theory, we should be able to build a thing, try it out on a field, figure out exactly what angle we want for the spot that we want,
Mm-hmm.
hard code a button to put us to that spot,
Correct.
right? So the drivers don't have to eyeball it ever, and then boom, you're good to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're having a splendid afternoon.
Yeah, so once we checked everything with the speaker, we double-checked everything with the amp to make sure that the amp dimensions were going to work out.
Yeah, so the amp is a little tricky. We saw some attempts,
Yes.
some
So
very disappointing attempts. I won't lie, I was disappointed.
I think that our geometry is going to have to change a little bit with where our plexiglass is placed
Yeah.
in order to better just kind of let the note fall into...
And if I was to draw that right, so we have like these rollers here, right? They exist kind of like in a line, and then we have a gap where the Cheerio lives, and that's like this area here. Mm-hmm. And then we have this plexiglass,
Yep.
right? And so what you're saying is we are still working on figuring out exactly how far, or shallow maybe, that we want that plexiglass to be.
To stick forward
So
out the...
we're thinking forward, but we don't know exactly how far forward.
Correct.
Okay.
So we need to kind of find the optimal position for it in order to be able to still pick up off the ground, but also place into the amp and make sure that both of those are going to be functional options for us.
Yeah.
Um,
And why do we think the amp is so important? Because if we look at just raw points, scoring in the amp is 1 point, and
Right.
scoring in the speaker is 2. So why exactly is it that we care about the amp? If we just focused on speaker, wouldn't we make twice as many?
Well, so I think that the amp is going to be a very important piece of the gameplay. If we wanted to just do the speaker, in theory, we could just make our own version of the kitbot.
Sure.
Being able to score in the amp gives you versatility. It'll make you more compatible working with other teams, which is very important in this game.
Well, I mean, ideally, you do both. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you'd be able to do both, which will make you, like I said, more compatible with other teams, kind of staying out of everybody's way, working more cohesively. And then with the amp, you have the, I don't know what the boost thing is called.
It's called Crescendo.
Is it called the crescendo?
I've been calling it a double XP weekend, which is also inaccurate because it's not double. So what it is if you put 2 Cheerios into the amplifier, you store them up, your human player sitting at the amplifier gets a fun button they can press.
Yep.
And that button says, for the next 10 seconds, any points scored in your speaker, any notes by either you or any of your alliance members, are worth 2.5 times points. So they go up from 2 to 5. And so we actually did the math the other day. Very, very easy math. If you have 3 notes to score, it's always better to do 2 in the amp and 1 in the speaker, because you'll end up with 7 points as opposed to 3 in the speaker, which would just be 6. Not to mention, you can save that power up to when it is most advantageous for you. So let's say you and your friend allied team both can go into the amp. You both do your first cycle into the amp. You're ready with the power up. You grab another note, and while you're doing that, your third alliance, maybe they're a little bit slower. They have their first note, and all 3 of you are coming back across the field around the same time, ready to score. You hit the power up right then. All of you score. That's 15 points. So you've gained 9 points from 3 times that you scored during that power up.
Right.
That seems like a pretty realistic. Pretty realistic, especially with the kit bots this year. Teams should have the ability to score in that speaker, provided they have the time and resources to put it together.
Which I do think that it's interesting in terms of previous years. This is the first year with a kit bot, correct?
First year. Yeah, I mean, I won't lie. I didn't know about it going into kickoff this year.
Neither did
and
I.
I kind of felt like they were stealing our job a little bit. Makes it a little bit harder on us, but also gives us a really nice place to start from. So I'm not really too upset about it.
Right.
Either way, it's going to raise the bar.
For sure.
And hopefully raise the floor for everyone.
Yeah, I agree.
Everybody up, you know?
Yeah.
And I doubt it'll really help out higher level teams that much, so I'm hoping it'll narrow the gap between competitions.
That's what
for,
I'm hoping for as well.
The very new teams who really don't know exactly what's going on, compared to the very old veteran teams who have all the resources they could ask for.
Yeah, and just the interesting thing is, in previous years, with kind of like the Everybot and Ri3D, it's not necessarily focused on to get the higher scoring element.
Yeah.
Normally, I feel like it's typical to go for the lower scoring element. 2019, typically it was the cargo ship bots were the Everybot. You know, so I think it's very interesting this year that the kit bot is focusing on the high goal.
Do you want to give context for 2019 cargo ship?
Yes. So the cargo ship in 2019 was about this tall.
Yeah.
Ish.
Well, actually, in 2019, you had 2 ways to score.
Yeah.
You had these big balls, and then you had these flat plates.
They were playground balls, like kickballs.
Yep. Big old kickballs. Probably a little too big to actually play a game of kickball with.
Just a little bit bigger than
a little
normal.
bit too big. Anyway.
Or just actually inflated to the right amount, unlike a
never
school
fun.
kid.
Never fun. Anyways.
So, the cargo ship was a lower physically lower element in the game. The rocket was the other scoring element. You placed hatches on both of them, on the rocket and on the cargo ship, and placed cargo inside of both of them, but the rocket was physically taller.
Yeah, so it was just harder to score.
So it was just harder to score.
Yeah.
Another example is 2018 with Power Up. The Everybot was able to do either the vault, which was just pushing cubes along the floor, or scoring in the switch, which was only this high off the ground, with the power cubes, which are just milk crates with fabric over them, if you're not familiar.
Yeah. And then the high goal there was called the
scale.
The scale.
Yep.
And that one was extraordinarily tall.
Like
that one varied from like 5 feet tall
to like 7,
possibly more, because there were some teams, especially if they were real good teams, they were starting to stack those cubes to maybe even 3 high.
Yeah. Right.
So you could get really, really, like, you'd need to be 8, maybe even 9 feet tall sometimes.
Correct.
In the really high competitions.
Yeah. So I just think that this year it's really interesting that this kit design is for the physically higher goal.
But to be fair, while it is for the physically higher goal, I actually do think it's the easier of the 2 goals to do.
Yeah, that's true.
Not only is it easier, as we previously mentioned, it's probably the less important goal. We didn't mention this earlier. I think we talked about it yesterday, but if you missed yesterday, the amplifier is also the only way to get one of the available 4 ranking points in any match. Ranking points, for those who are new, are very, very important for placing in your regional and even statewide events, and even at Worlds you need ranking points. It determines the seeding from the preliminary rounds to go into the elimination rounds. If you don't have very many ranking points per match, there's a very high chance that you won't make it to the elimination rounds, and the elimination rounds are where you can actually win the entire event. Especially with earlier events, it's going to be very, very necessary that you get those early and that you get higher placements in the elimination rounds. That way you can continue to bigger and better competitions. So
Right.
very, very important that you have someone who can at least get one Cheerio
Right.
in the amplifier.
Yep.
Very important.
But yes, I do think that the amp is an incredibly important.
Yeah. We also didn't mention this. You can use the power-up multiple times. It's not a one-time power-up. You can use it as many times as you can put 2 Cheerios in the amplifier.
Right.
So in theory, you could use it 4, maybe even 5 times in a single match. You don't get to stockpile your Cheerios. So you have to put 2 new ones in after your last one, like completely finished, after your power-up finished. But you can just keep reusing it. As long as you can fill it fast, you're good to go. I'm pretty sure you could probably also hold on to one. Let's say you have 5 seconds left to go. You could hold on to one, throw it in the amp as soon as it's over, and then go do another cycle to reduce time like that. So there's a lot of strategy involved. Not to mention, there's going to be a lot of strategy for defensive play as well, because there aren't very many safe zones. So even if you have perhaps a little slower of a bot, maybe you don't have swerve drive, and because of that you can't maneuver quite as well, you're still going to have options for playing defense, because there are very important contested zones, like the amplifier, that's not protected.
Right. Which is very different from a couple of the games these past few years.
Especially last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think defense is definitely going to be a big part of this game, so I'm really interested to see the gameplay.
Actually, on that note, do we know if the amplifier is a protected zone? Could I just park my robot in front of the opponent's amplifier?
know. I am not
I'm sure
sure.
you're not allowed to. There's no way. But I wonder, if it's not in the rules, they might have to make an addendum. They might have to.
Yeah, I'm
fix
not.
that.
I'm not 100%.
That would be
sure.
a funny strat.
That'd be a mean strat. that's just
Funny
mean.
from my perspective. I'm not playing.
That's true. Entertaining to watch,
Yeah,
probably not
it's
to
like-
experience.
That robot died in front of the amplifier and can't move. Well, it's a tank tread, so I'm not moving it.
True.
Tough. Anyways, don't do that, kids. Don't do that. It's very mean.
Gracious professionalism.
Yeah. Play defense, but good-hearted defense.
Yeah.
Anyways, that was amplifier. I think we talked about that pretty adequately. Climbing is pretty cool this year. Pretty cool. It's really simple, but I think it hides some complexity.
I agree. I think that, talking with a couple of different teams, right off the gun, they're like, this is going to be easy. Just put a hook on
It's
it.
easy. For context, climbing this year, you have these triangle areas, which we briefly saw earlier. They are protected areas shaped a little bit like a Dorito, with technically some flat bits on the end, but I'm not an artist, I'm an engineer. And on these Dorito sides, you have these chains, literally just metal chains, and
That have quite a bit of slack in them, might I add.
yeah. So I think they start on the edges where they're connected at
Yep.
like 4 feet. Does that sound right?
No, not
quite
maybe
4?
4 feet. I'm not 100% sure.
Let's
actually.
say about 3.5 feet. Check the rules. Check
Yeah.
the manual. You'll find the numbers there. Anyways, we're going to tentatively say around 4 feet, 3.5.
Somewhere
And
in
then
there.
They dip down with slack into the middle of this Dorito area to around 2-ish feet, maybe a little over.
Once again, not sure.
Check the manual. Anyways, they dip down a little bit. All you have to do is take your happy robot, put it on that chain, and get off the ground.
Yeah.
I don't believe there's any rules for distance off the ground. As long as you aren't touching, I think you're kosher.
I think that's the case.
You get 3 points for climbing.
And then there's other points. I believe it's 2 additional points per robot that are on the same chain.
Yeah. So in theory, if I have one robot here, it's worth 3 points. And normally you might think, okay, so if I put a second robot here, that's going to be 3 points and 3 points, so 6 total. But actually, because they're on the same chain, you get a bonus 2 points. So you'll end up with a total of 8, which is great because you need 10 climbing points in the end game to get that ranking point. And everybody wants ranking points, as we previously said.
Yep.
So normally you might think, okay, so to get a ranking point, I need to have all 3 of my robots climb. That's kind of tough, A lot of times you're going to have an alliance partner where they just can't climb, and, it happens. And also you'd have to have 2 robots on the same chain. Maybe that's really hard. I don't know, maybe your robot can't do that. There are other ways to get endgame ranking points. One of them is, in fact, this trap here. That's actually 5 points, so that's halfway there already, which is really, really great. That's massive, honestly, because, just easy math on that is, if you have one robot who can do the trap, then they must have climbed, because it's
Yes.
previously disclosed pretty much impossible to use the trap if you haven't already climbed. And then that's 8 points. So you just need one other team member to climb. It doesn't even have to be on your chain, and you're golden. And then there's another way, which is even funnier.
Which
even funnier.
it's currently crossed out. But
Yeah. What was it? It was ring toss. Yeah, ring toss game.
or the spotlight.
It's ring toss. Big ring toss. Doo-doo. Yeah, there you go. So what are the rings? How do you do that? Explain.
Yeah, sure. Don't know all of the rules with this, so bear with me.
Read the manual.
Yes,
Thank
please
you.
read the manual. Don't be like me.
Yeah. Gotta start somewhere.
Yeah. So when you're going to spotlight in endgame, I'm not actually sure when you can start throwing. Is
20
it
seconds.
Is it at 20 seconds?
20 seconds.
Okay, awesome. And do the robots have to be climbed before you can throw?
I don't believe so. No.
Okay, cool.
Leave at 20 seconds. You're allowed. Okay, so the human players exist on the sidelines of the arena. Let's say they exist around here. I think that might actually be a little close. I think technically your human players would be like this way, and
Yep.
then there would be another Dorito that's like here. Disregard the fact that that's intersecting with the word trap.
I believe that the rings are thrown from the amp station.
Oh, actually.
Yes.
Oh, they're thrown from the. Okay. in
So
that
they're
case-
closer.
In that case, they're like up here.
Yeah, they're going to be
Yeah.
closer.
So you got to throw like 10 feet
Ish.
ish. That's real ballpark numbers.
That's really
Definitely
ballpark.
check the manual for that one because I just pulled that out of my head. Anyways, you get these special rings which have tape on them. Very exciting. I think they call them high notes because you have notes and then you have high notes, obviously. And you have to toss them onto these rings that are on the top of this Dorito, which is pretty high up in the air. And if you land one on the ring, and then your robots climb on the same chain that's in front of that ring, each robot that climbs on that chain gets 1 extra climbing point, which is pretty exciting. You know, go from 3 to 4. So you could, in theory, land a little note right there, and boom. That's 10 total climbing points because you get 3, 6, 8, 9, 10. Pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, had a question?
But John, if I miss, where will it land?
Oh, well, right over this way, which is, so let's say you overshoot. This is where the judges sit. So, probably going to hit the judges.
What if it lands in the field? Can my robot use that as like a normal note?
No. If it lands on the field, undershoot it, or it manages to hit the field, the high notes are not normal notes. Don't touch them. They're a waste of time. You are not allowed to score them. You are not allowed to intentionally make them leave the field. That includes scoring them, because any way that you could score, except for in the trap, which you're not allowed to do, that's specifically in the manual, I read that, you're not allowed to make them leave the field at all. I don't remember what kind of foul it is, but it's not worth the amount of points you would gain from scoring, so I wouldn't do it. Might as well just do a normal note. So, also, yes, it has been passed around that you are throwing directly towards the judges. So if you are the human player, make sure you practice so you don't actually hit someone and hurt them. Not that those foam rings, I think, are capable of hurting anyone, but still.
Just
Maybe
in case.
Hit like some coffee and it spills. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't even know if they're allowed to have coffee on the stage or on the field. Probably not.
Yeah. Do you have any bets how long before they set up a net to protect the scoring table?
Week 0, no net. Week 1, nets at most competitions. That's my bet. Bets?
I say I'll take them till week 2.
You think week 2? Week 2? Okay. No, I think it'll be quick. Well, I'm not sure if it'll be a net, but I'm sure they will have a fix figured out very fast. Because if I know anything about judges, they don't like being hit by flying objects.
Also, don't aim for the ref stands.
Oh yeah, probably don't aim for that. That seems just like a really bad idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, even if you're like, oh wow, it'd be really fun to play ring toss with a human right now. Trust me, I've tried it. It is kind of fun
Just take our word for it, though.
with a consenting individual. You know, if I say, hey, Adam, stand still for a second. I want to try and land this ring on your head, and Adam says no, probably don't throw the ring. You know, I don't think the refs want rings on their head.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could ask them, but probably not during the game. Seems a little rude.
Yeah, maybe a little.
They got other things going on.
Yeah, they're a little busy.
Yeah,
But
making sure you're not cheating.
yeah. So, endgame this year is
Endgame.
pretty interesting.
A lot of things going on. Low scoring endgame. That's one thing I noticed.
That's really interesting to me, and I think
Like-
that the stakes for the rank point are very interesting as well.
Yeah, it seems like really hard to actually get the ranking point, and very low impact to actually like score well. Because
Yeah.
like realistic maximum here, even if you hit one of the rings and like all of your robots climb, you're probably only getting like 12 points.
I would also like to mention that for the spotlight, you do get 3 rings to throw, correct?
Three chances. So
Yep.
in theory, if you have the greatest ring toss master of all time,
Right.
then you could hit all 3, I believe.
Okay.
I don't believe they stack. You shouldn't be able to hit the same one 3 times and then just put one robot there to get a whole bunch of points. Definitely double check the manual on that one. It's possible they didn't specify because they didn't think that anyone would try to or is capable of doing so. But you know, double check. And if it isn't specified, check with the ref. I'm sure they'll be able to answer before the games actually start happening in
Yeah.
real competitions. And if it is allowed, well, that's pretty funny.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a problem with that. I think it's kind of funny.
I think that if you can do it,
Hey,
good on you.
fuck, great shot.
And then, if we don't have anything else to talk about with Endgame, I would like to circle back to the amp and talk about one thing that we
More amps?
missed.
Oh, we forgot the amp.
We missed the other thing, the other button, the other fun little button that you can
the
press.
ranking point button. Yes. What's that one called?
I don't. Cooperation?
It's the cooperation
I think.
button bonus.
Check the manual.
No, it's definitely cooperation. Like
Cooperation.
100%. It's a cooperation. They love cooperation. We all love cooperation. It's our favorite button.
Yes.
One of the better buttons. You have to hit that button in the first 45 seconds of the game. And if your opposing alliance also hits the cooperation button, you both get a ranking point. Isn't that great? You know, smiles all around.
And it also lowers the amount of notes that you have to score in order to get the next ranking point. I believe from 18 to 15
Wait, what?
for both alliances.
Huh?
I believe. If you both get the cooperation bonus or whatever it is, I believe it lowers the amount of notes that you have to score for the note rank point.
Are there 5 available rank points this year?
What are the 4? Let's go over the
There's-
4
there's
rank
climbing.
points. Yes.
There's cooperation.
Yep.
You get 2 for winning.
Competition is not a ranking point. It's just
No.
What?
Oh yeah, the cooperation point is
What's that?
different.
Okay. Wait, the cooperation is not... Have I been wrong this
No,
whole time?
the cooperation point is not a rank point. It is a separate point, I believe, that does
been lied to.
impact your ranking.
It's a secondary ranking system because it does come into factor if
Yes.
you have tied ranking points.
Yes.
So, like, if you have more cooperation and you have tied ranking points with someone else, then you would still be
Yes.
seated. My bad.
Yep.
So, so the ranking points are climbing, 2 for winning, and then you get 1 if you score enough notes in the speaker.
I think just in general, if you
Oh,
score,
just in general.
if you place enough notes.
Place enough notes in scoring locations.
Yes.
So, amp, speaker,
Yes.
track.
Yep.
And it's normally 18.
I believe. I'm not 100% sure.
According to B. Kirschbaum in the chat, you are correct.
Okay, I believe it's 18, and then if you both do the cooperation, it goes down to 15.
That sounds right.
That is correct.
I think.
Okay.
B. Kirschbaum.
Awesome.
Wow. Thank
Check
you,
the
B.
manual.
Kirschbaum. Yeah.
But I trust but verify.
Yeah. I mean, we got a lot of time to figure that one out.
Yeah.
Well, we don't, but
You do. Hopefully.
we'll see what happens. I don't know if we missed anything. I mean, these are just things you can do. We didn't mention driving. This year it looks like Swerve is going to be the best again. Who would have guessed? Wow.
We love
Swerve.
maneuverability.
We love Swerve. Yay. We aren't doing Swerve. It's not happening. Sorry. Picking up from the source, that's pretty straightforward. The kitbot does that. If you want a great example of that, look at the kitbot.
Yeah.
That's already made, and you probably have schematics available for it, unlike what we have, which is not made and does not have schematics yet. Placing and shooting, we did kind of talk about that a bit. That's definitely a sore point for us right now.
Yeah.
We don't have our actual shooter together yet because of some complications. We haven't had the best access to machine shops. Unfortunately, it is before school starts, so things are kind of shut down right now. And yeah, but we're getting there, working on it, making progress one step at a time. Unless we have any last minute questions, I'm happy to answer anything, lighthearted or otherwise. No, probably gonna be wrapping up here. Oh, okay, holding. Who might? Oh, what's happening? I don't know if the. Oh goodness, sorry. I think I misunderstood the assignment. Oh, I see. There's Gary.
Gary the Hedgehog.
That is Gary.
Yeah, this is Gary the Hedgehog. This is our mascot. Gary personally keeps track of all of our attendance for us. Some people think that it is a database. No, it's just a hedgehog with a notebook.
That's true. Where's his notebook? I don't see his notebook.
It does not have it right now because he's visiting us. The
I
notebook
mean,
is kept in a very secure location.
Yeah, I mean, obviously,
no one's allowed to know
we can't tell you
except
where
the
the
president of
notebook
the
is.
United States.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think.
And they erase it from their
Joe
mind
Biden-
after
yeah.
the new one comes
Joe
in.
Biden definitely knows where the notebook is right now. Yeah, but no other president. Former presidents that are still living. They, we moved that.
Lincoln does still know somehow. We're not entirely sure why, but
Lincoln knows. That's crazy.
Yeah.
For a lot of reasons. Damn. Maybe they engraved it into his into his monument. But like on the inside, so no one can see it.
we should plan a heist.
Plan a heist of
Plan a
Lincoln.
heist.
Lincoln's head, the Lincoln Memorial's head. Wow, that'd be crazy. Well, I think that's all we have for today.
I think so.
We'll be back tomorrow.
Hey,
at
people
6
doing
p.m.
prototyping. Has anything gone better yet? If so, should we demonstrate it? Nope.
Nothing's gone better yet. Well, it's all a process. Everything takes time. That's not to rush things. I mean, what do we have? Like 40 hours left? That's a lot of time.
We have
40 hours is a lot.
a number
of
of
time.
hours left.
It's around 40. Anyways, we'll be back tomorrow at 6 p.m. Possibly sharp, possibly dull. We'll see what happens. We will be cutting that stream a little bit short because tomorrow night is sports ball. Woo, woo, woo. Yeah,
Go
sports
Blue.
ball. Very exciting. Yeah, go Blue. National championship. We love that. So we're going to be cutting short at 7 or maybe a little bit sooner tomorrow. But thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah.
I hope everyone had a great time, and we'll see you again soon.
Have questions ready.
Or don't,
Or don't.
Do what you want.
Yeah.
You want to just watch us? That's cool.
Yeah.
Like fish in a fish tank.